Chapter 30. I'm Miss K.
And I'm Queen T.
This is a place for those women
and men
who feel that they have no one to talk to.
We're here. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Okay, guys, so we picked 2 emails, and we're both going to read one, and we're going to give some input.
Ooh, I'm ready. I can't wait.
Okay, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You could go.
All right. So I'm going to read this one. Okay. All right. This one says, Queen T and Miss K, help. But that's the subject line. So, okay.
I'm nervous.
I know. Me too. All right. My best friend and I have been friends for over 10 years now. About a month ago, she started acting extremely different. We used to talk and FaceTime every day. Now I only hear from her maybe once a week, and most of the time she is responding with one-word answers. A person who I would describe as an associate told me that she saw my best friend hanging out with one of my exes at the mall the other day. I don't want to assume that this is the reason for her change up, but every time I try to talk to her, she doesn't want to tell me what's wrong. This is so not like her, and I'm worried. What should I do?
Wow.
A lot.
That is, wait, she said for over 10 years they've been friends?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the past month she's been switching up?
Mm-hmm.
Associate said
That.
So I'm assuming that this associate is not too close to her because she's calling her an associate.
Mm-hmm.
Saw her and one of her exes at the mall the other day. I mean, I don't want to assume for you, love. I don't want to assume for you. Because you just never know. Like, you never know. And sometimes things have a way of just like being coincidental or you know, we tend to create this I use this line all the time because it's my favorite because I do it all the time. Like, we tend to create these catastrophes in our mind without fully knowing what's going on. So I would say, you said she's been trying to contact her friend, you know, and try to really, really talk to her, but she hasn't been answering her. I would try at least a few more times. You know, this is what I would think would be a strong friendship. You said 10 years that you guys have been best friends. So I would try to contact her. I would leave the associate out of it. I wouldn't, you know, go back to the associate for any more information or, you know, try to get any information out of the associate. I'm kind of on the border. Tell me what you think about this, Ms. K. I'm on the border of this, of whether or not she should try reaching out to the ex.
I would say keep it between them two, because I really agree with keeping the associate out. Like, you got the information from her. I honestly, and I know it's hard to talk to somebody that doesn't want to talk, but I say keep it between them, because she doesn't need. We don't know her ex's intentions. We don't even know what's going on with the ex and the best friend, you know. So we don't. I would just say, you know, write to the best friend and say, I really need to talk to you. Is there a way that I can call you, or we can get together? If she's like, no, I'm busy, then I would just come out with it. Like, look, you know, you can either say you saw it or someone saw that. First of all, talk about how she's changed and how she's been different, and you love her, and, you know, you miss your friendship. Like, is there anything that you have done? Like, you want to talk? Like, just be open and just pour your heart out, you know? And then also bring up the sighting of her and your ex. Like, what is that about? Like,
right. I think I would wait for that. I would do like the first thing first.
True.
Yeah. I would say, you know how you feel about the change in the friendship and how you notice it. You know what I mean? All that stuff. And then if you're still not getting a reply, then I will go ahead and be like, listen, this person told me so, so, so. And I do agree with you with not talking to the ex about it, because one, if it's a made up story, then you could be, you know, messing up this dude's life, and you don't even, you know, like now you just open up a whole can of worms, and it may not even be something that's going on with that. So I do agree with that.
Right. And as always, it's hard to like speak on these things because we don't know the intentions of the associate, the intentions of this best friend. We don't know that. But just me going off, if this was my life, first of all, like, once I hear you with my ex, I'm pissed, because loyalty. Like, what are you doing? Like, because first you're ignoring me, you're acting different. Then you're with my ex. Like, huh? Like, girl code. So I'm like, what's going on here? Like, that's that's not like the most thing that makes me upset, but that's just like the, what is it called, like the last, like what is it, the last straw.
Mm-hmm.
Because like what's going on, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people do ignore you because they're doing something that they don't want you knowing. So is that what's going on? I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
put these thoughts in your head, but again, you asked for our opinion. That's what crossed my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree, the first thing first is like, look, I love you, I miss you, what's going on, like, just really pour your heart out. If she doesn't want to meet face to face, say it in a text, get it out there. If from there she's still like dry, girl, you may have to experience like one of the biggest heartbreaks, that you'll experience, and that's losing a friend. And it hurts. And I'm gonna keep it real. I went through that before where I lost life lifelong friendships, or what I thought would be a lifelong friendship. And
Mm-hmm.
it hurt harder than me, breaking up with a guy, in a different way, because like I hold my friends to a different standard than I hold, sadly, like some of my exes too. So I don't know why I'm that way, but I'm going to admit that I am. And when you lose that like friend, that sister that you thought you were going to be friends with forever, it's just like it hurts because you were not expecting it at all. So
Mm-hmm.
back to you, I would definitely, like, if this is your girl and you love her, I would try, but there's going to come a time where you're going to have to just let things lie where they are. If she doesn't want to be your friend, and you might have to cut ties with her, and it's going to hurt, but you cannot spend your life chasing behind somebody that does not want to talk to you, because like she goes from FaceTiming you and talking to you every day to like one word. Like, what's your thoughts, Queen T? Because I know I get hyped on this.
I'm just there's you just never know. Hashtag expectations. You
Mm-hmm.
just never know what's going on with somebody, even if it's somebody that you've known for 10 years. Like, God forbid she could have got with the wrong crowd and started sniffing coke. Like, you just don't know. You know what I mean? And what I would do, and I've said before, to, like Corinne said, pour out your heart and stuff like that. But also try your hardest to make her feel comfortable, um, comfortable enough to want to come to you and let you know what's going on. You know what I mean? Sometimes because we're thinking so emotionally, and we have this feeling, and we feel like we already know what's happening, that we don't realize that how we're coming off is not in a way that would make somebody want to come to us and tell us anything. You know what I mean? So we
Right.
already have this thought in our mind, and we're like, what's wrong? What's happening? What's going on? Why are you not telling me nothing?
Right.
Instead of being like, I'm here, and I'm open, like, you can talk to me, blah, blah, blah. So that the phrasing could be something like, I don't know how the conversation between you and her have been going, but if this is something that hasn't been happening, then that can be something as well. And I pray to God that it's not a situation where, the entire friendship crumbles. Um, and if it does, everybody is not supposed to walk with you in every season. Like,
Mhm.
um, teddy bear meme. I'm saying these words, but Miss K knows what I mean. I'm
I
sorry.
do. I do.
Some things, sometimes we hold on to things that we think we need or we think we
Mhm.
want in our lives, and it's just not meant to be.
Wow.
Again, I'm hoping and praying that it does not go that far. I'm praying that there's another um something else that's happening, that's not this situation, and hopefully not anything worse. But again, I do suggest that you try to have this conversation with her, try to make her feel comfortable enough to come to you and talk, and be ready, be prepared, like go in with to the conversation with no expectations.
That part.
Uh-huh. And just be
That part.
open to hear what she has to say. And hopefully you guys can both learn and grow from this situation. I'm really hoping that it's nothing that's too serious. You know what I mean? Nothing that you guys both can't bounce from.
Right. Because that's friendships too, like ups and downs. That's relationships. That's everything. Like, it's not gonna always be how it
Yeah.
was, and it could change and evolve into something even better. But I want to kind of backtrack, because I was thinking fully with emotions, and that's not cool. And I don't want to project that out into this podcast. Once I saw the X in the mall or wherever y'all was at, that's when I was just like, hold up, like,
Right.
in my feelings. I think if I didn't see that, I could think more logical. But that just made me upset for you. But let me backtrack.
And that's
Let me take
natural.
wait, let me take that out the equation. again, as you mentioned, expectations. Like, you know, we expect, and there's just certain things we want and all these things, but things change, life happens, like, and something could be occurring in her life. Like, it reminded me of that meme I sent you. I can't really explain it on the podcast. Remember the one where it was like a text to a friend, but there were a bunch of things crossed out?
Yes, yeah.
So I can't really explain it, but basically there was a meme and it was like, "Hi, sorry I haven't texted you back." And then it says, "I've been anxious and depressed. I haven't had time to catch my breath." But that part was crossed out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how life gets. And then, like, the person was saying their truth, like, "I'm so drained, I can't even collect energy for the most basic tasks." But then it would say, "The weather has been beautiful," right? So it's like she's saying the basic things to her friend, like, "Well, yeah, let's get together." But meanwhile, the person is like, "I just want to sleep all the time." And
Mm-hmm.
we would try to uncover a reason, but that part's crossed out. So basically, it's just kind of going on things that are left unsaid, and it happens. So it's like, while we're thinking a one word is an attitude towards us, who knows? She could have found out something that she doesn't want to share with you. She can't
Mm-hmm.
share with you. She's not ready to share with you. She could be going through her own mental health things, or it's like we don't really know. And like you said, there's a lot of expectations, and there's a lot of projection, and a lot of like we always kind of not put ourselves in the center of everybody's world, but I think because we're the center of our own world, that we kind of just like, "Hey, what about me? Like, what's going on here?" And I'm not saying you haven't been open to her and what's going on with her. You want an explanation, and there's nothing wrong with you
Right.
wanting that. You love her, obviously, but there are two sides to it. There could be something going on with her. So I agree with Queen T when she said make her comfortable, and go back to what I said, and I think Queen T mentioned it as well. Be like you did mention it, like be open. Like you could walk out of this stronger than ever, or you could walk out of this without a friend. Whatever it is, like just be open to it, and just know that you'll be all right. And I do hope you guys can talk, because communication is everything. If you guys can get together and talk, that'll be bomb.
Right. Absolutely. I think that most definitely should be an in-person conversation.
Right. What do you think about the ex? Do you think it could be a rumor? Do you think maybe there's an explanation? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like there's just too many variables, and I don't even want her to think about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just it's information that you got. Keep it in your back pocket. And until you have all the pieces to the puzzle, then just don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Don't put all of your energy into that. And it's hard. It's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, you hear that, and you hear your friend, and you hear your ex, and it's easy to get your emotions involved and wrapped up in it. But just try your hardest to just try to get to the bottom of it first before, you know what I mean, before the emotions just take a hold of you. But that's my answer to that question. Like, I can't even think of what I would think, because I don't want her to think that.
Right. Right. So it's like, don't put on don't completely forget about it, because that's important. But like you
Exactly.
said, in your back pocket,
Yep.
and kind of sleep on how you want to bring that up, because I think it's definitely me. I'm all about communication. Like I can't walk on eggshells with somebody that I really
Right.
love. Like if something happened between you and I, and someone told me some information that was like kind of like questionable, like I need to tell you that.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
can't hold on to it because, you know, oh my God, I don't know how to bring it to her. If we're friends, how we supposed to be friends, I need to be like, "Girl, somebody told me that XYZ. Like, what's up?"
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to be like, "Girl," and you should be able to explain, like, maybe things are not always what they seem. And I'm like, "Okay, girl," like, and we can keep it moving. But, like, it's just communication is key in every relationship, and you got to be comfortable enough to be able to express yourself and respect one another and all that good stuff.
I definitely agree. All right. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Please give us an update on how everything went. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely interested to know. And just pray on it, girl. Pray on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep on it, like Miss K said, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, everything will work out the way that it's supposed to work out. But
Sure
just
will.
try your hardest not to stress over it, and try your hardest not to get too emotional over it, and just, follow the steps that we told you to, or if you have a better idea, follow that. But just know that we're thinking about you. You're in our prayers, and we hope that everything goes well with the situation.
Right.
All right. So, Streets, we're going to read one more email that we received. Um, and it starts off by saying, "Hello, ladies. I listened to the episode Dating a week ago. Oh, the episode Dating a week ago. And I have to say, I was having a somewhat rough day, but you ladies helped me turn my day around. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Keep up what you're doing. Your show has a unique feel to it. I need a little input. I am 32 years old and have been divorced for 3 years now. It's been a journey with my ex, but I am ready to date now. I am cool with my coworker, and she is on a few dating apps and she dates a lot of men. I brought that up because one of the men she dated about 8 months ago actually approached me one night when we were in the bar. She ran to the bathroom and he asked for my number. I gave it to him, but I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I didn't tell her this happened, but do I need to? Also, he's texted me twice since we saw one another, and I haven't written him back yet. They have not had sex, but they did go on a few dates. She has long since stopped talking about him, but am I breaking some sort of girl code if I don't tell her? He's a good guy from what I've heard from her. Am I wrong for being interested?
Ooh,
What you think on that, Biscuit?
it's a
It's a
lot.
lot going on there.
Um, well, first, I wish you just the best, from your divorce. I do wish you the best from your journey moving forward.
Yes.
Um, and that you're ready to date. Congratulations on, feeling that you're ready to
Mm-hmm.
date. As far as you being cool with your coworker and you guys, it sounds like you were at the bar together and then she went to the bathroom and then he asked for your number. I think with her going to the bathroom and then him asking for your number, that kind of shows that there's I feel like if he would have approached you in front of her, it would have showed that like he thought there was nothing wrong with it. But I feel like since it was done like kind of behind her back, maybe he kind of I don't know. I don't want to read too much into that part, but I just feel like um me personally, I would let her know. I would just say, "Hey, girl, you remember Tony? Yeah, oh yeah, I remember him. But girl, I would be like, he gave me his number. How do you feel about that?"
Mm-hmm.
And if she's like, "Girl, like, just go on," like, if she feels like, he doesn't mean anything to her and you feel comfortable enough to talk to him, I guess go for it. But if you're gonna continue to build a relationship with her,
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of like let her know. You don't have to give her a play by play of what y'all do after the fact, but I will put it on her radar since it seems like she just doesn't know about it at all. Because what's done in the dark does come to the light, and it's like we're grown. Some people say we don't owe each other like anything, but girl code, I would
Mm-hmm.
tell. What do you think, Miss? What do you think, Quincy? Why do I keep calling you Quincy?
I feel like I need to add a miss to my name. um. Okay. Like we said before, there's a lot to this. The first thing that struck out to me when reading this, I'm trying to find it now. There was one part where she said she felt bad. Did she say that?
She said, but I feel like I'm doing something
Right,
wrong.
exactly. So that for me is key. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like you're doing something wrong, then that I mean that's your own instincts right there. You know what I mean? That's your own body telling you, okay, maybe you are doing something wrong. And if that's the case, then yeah, I feel like you should talk about it. And just to get that out the way because you just never know how that feeling may come back up, you know? Um, I also don't want to read too much into him waiting until she goes to the bathroom because you never know. He could just be like a really private person.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he just didn't feel comfortable in that situation. Maybe he just wanted to be you and him. You just never know. There's always different types of situations that could happen. But I definitely think, like Miss K said, you never know how this friendship between you and her is gonna grow. Um, and I would put myself in the coworker's position, right? Let's say, for example, I did date this dude or whatever, and then you start dating him, and then it gets serious between you guys, and then one day you introduce me to him as your man, and then I'm looking like, wait, what? You know what I mean? It may not. I feel like anybody, it would take them back a little bit. It may not bother everybody so much, or it may not be a problem for everybody. But I think for anybody, it would be like, huh? Like, like she knew about him. So just to avoid that, just to get ahead of that, I would just tell her just to make sure that you guys are good.
I agree. And like on the flip side, what do you think in terms of like, what if this is like the person who wrote this letter? What if her and this guy, like, what if they're gonna be married? Like, what if this is her soulmate? Like, do you think it's okay to date after friends? Like, if you feel like you're meant to be with that person?
Well, are they friends or are they coworkers? I feel like the relationship kind of has a, like, for example, if we if it's you, like, I'm gonna use you for example, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna touch nobody after you because we're that close. If it's something
Mm-hmm.
that if it's a coworker and we've been working together for a month or whatever, we went out one time, like, I just feel like that bond is not there yet. Of course there's still girl code. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
there still needs to be a conversation. um but I just feel like it's not that serious yet, you know what I mean, where I owe
Yeah.
anybody anything. um
Facts.
there's not even that she what's the word I'm looking for, she introduced her as a coworker, she didn't even introduce her as a friend. So
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that means something, but it doesn't mean that you can just go ahead with the relationship at all. That's not what I'm saying. I feel like there still should be a conversation, but yeah, I do think that there are situations that are just different. Because if that was the case, nobody would be dating anybody. Like, everybody knows somebody. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like, it shouldn't be
Right.
that serious. But yeah, I do think I'm repeating myself, but I do think there are situations where it's okay. And especially if, like, it's hard too because a person could be saying, "Oh yeah, it's okay, I don't care," and they really do care. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But that's kind of something that you just kind of gotta roll with, because if this is her soulmate, it's her soulmate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
listen, ain't nobody going to stand in the way of that. Like, what's meant to be is meant to be. But as long as you have that conversation, and even if the person does say I'm okay with it and they're lying, that's on them. They should have spoke up about it. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, you can only control what you can control, and that's that conversation. And having that, I wish she would have had the conversation before. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wish she would have had the conversation right when or right after he asked for her number. Because that would have looked more girl codey, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? Like, when you do something right
Mm-hmm.
after, it's just like, girl, you know what I mean? Like, you on it. But just the fact that she waited a little bit and he texted her 2 times, she didn't answer, cool. But
Right.
I don't know. You never know how she's going to respond. But I feel like this conversation needs to happen as soon as
Mm-hmm.
possible. What do you
Facts.
think?
Totally agree. Like, it's just as simple as a conversation, and I think that's what's old. And I agree on, like, I don't want to touch nothing after my friends either. Like, I like, like, it is a small world, and I hear a lot of people in that situation where they're like, I fell in love with this person, and it just, it's complicated. There's
Mm-hmm.
no judgment. Me personally, like, I don't want to date after anybody that I care about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm gonna go so far as to say, me personally, I wouldn't even do it probably with a coworker. You know what I mean?
Same. That's what I was thinking when you were saying
But
it,
I'm
but I
just
was
saying
like,
that's just me.
uh-huh.
That's me.
Right,
I could understand
exactly.
if somebody else did. Like, I get it because it's
Yeah.
people just feel differently and take relationships differently. But it's just too close to home for
Right.
me. Like, I want you to be a complete stranger.
Exactly. Because especially if I'm hanging out with you. Now, if I'm just walking by you in the office, I'm walking by you and wherever, like, but if we be going out and all this stuff together, that's a lot. Like,
Right.
I, at least I would have to have the conversation, like, girl,
Right. Right.
ask for my number. Like, yeah.
Yeah. That conversation, it just has to be had. Like, I think that's what our advice is boiling down to.
Mm-hmm.
Um Now, her question was, though, is she wrong for being interested?
I think we're human and we can't control certain things like that. I mean, it was kind of like when she said, I think she said he's a good guy from what she told me.
Mm-hmm.
That part was kind of like, because that part kind of like hit me the wrong way. I mean, yeah, but do you get what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, I was telling you about a guy, and then it didn't work out. I mean, I know it's totally different dynamics because like we're best friends,
Right.
but so you were like, oh, from what Miss Kate told me, he's a good man. I'm interested. You know, like that's where it's like, wait, what? Like you tell me about guys that you know you're dating or talking to. They don't turn me on. Like I'm rooting for you. Like
Right,
girl,
right.
it's a different
You
feel.
know
So
what?
that's
I
hard.
hadn't even thought about that. Now that gives me a feeling. Because it's like that's like the friend who is like you tell them about your man or whatever, and then they're like, "Oh, good girl," blah blah blah, and then in the back of their mind they're like, "Oh, I want that," you know. That's
Mm-hmm.
scary. Ooh.
Yeah, no judgment, no shade. Like we're just speaking more so on like things that we're thinking about. So no shade or judgment to you because we don't know you and like it's just one email.
Mm-hmm.
But um,
No shade. I'm sorry.
no, no,
I feel bad.
I knew you weren't being shady, but like our feedback can come off like a little judgmental, but we're doing what they asked us,
Facts.
giving
That's
feedback.
a fact. That's a fact. But I agree
You
with
were.
what you said. Like we're all
Mm-hmm,
human. We
mm-hmm.
can't. There are some emotions and feelings that we just can't control. So to answer your question, I would say no. I don't think you're wrong for being interested. But if you don't have this conversation with her, I think that would be wrong.
Facts.
Hmm.
That's crazy. Everything boils down to communication and girl code.
Everything.
Like it's crazy in this topic. I mean, that's interesting.
Girl code is. I mean, everybody has their own hashtag expectations
Uh-huh.
when it comes to relationships and friendships. But I do feel like there are just standards, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there are just certain um lines that you just don't cross when it comes to your homegirls. Like, and I feel like just women in general. You don't have to be best friends. You don't have to be friends. Like it could be somebody a stranger to you, and there's just certain lines that you just don't cross with that other woman, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, I don't know her. I don't know her. Like, that's not the point. Like, there's a girl code even with people you don't know.
Exactly. Like, we talked about this before, but like, you know, like let's say you're in the bathroom and it's, you know, a bunch of people you don't know. Like girl code is like maybe that girl needs a pad or maybe she has tissue on her shoe. Like, you know, girl code is just looking out for girls. Or if you see a girl and the guy maybe he's harassing her, maybe you walk with her, you know, you buddy up and make sure maybe she gets in her car safe
Yeah.
or you guys like girl code is just it's the sisterhood is just making sure that like, you know, we all know that we got
Yeah.
you. We're here.
Mm-hmm. Because trust me, the bros is following they bro codes.
Oh.
Listen, we never going to talk about that because we not bros. But listen, if there's any bros out there that want to come on here and talk
Yes.
about your bro code and we can, we can do like differences and similarities between bro code and girl code and that would be cool. Let
Mm-hmm.
us know if you want to get on because I want to know more about bro code.
Me too. If they'll tell us, right?
Right.
Especially record.
That's bro code. They can't tell us. They going to tell us from
Right.
yes.
It's so unspoken. We making a whole podcast about it, but like those are
That's a fact. But thank you, Streets. Thank you, Streets, for reaching out to us. Please continue to do so. We are always here. We are here. So if you have any advice, if you disagree with us, like listen, it doesn't even
mm-hmm.
have to be like, oh, 100% go chapter 30. Like you can be like, no, I don't agree with that.
Exactly.
Just hit us up. We are on Instagram as the Chapter 30 Podcast. We are on Twitter and Snapchat as Chapter 30 Pod. We are on Facebook as Queen TK. And you can email us at the Chapter 30 Podcast at gmail.com. Any last
Yes.
words for the people?
Nope. Just thank you guys so much for listening as always. And definitely we hope to get your feedback on this. And ladies that emailed us, we hope that you were able to take something from what we said, or if you need more, just email us and the conversation can continue. We wish the best for you in your situations. We're rooting for you guys.
Absolutely. Send us an update so we know what's going on with the whole situation.
Please do.
Don't let it stop here. The conversation never stops here, as Miss K says.
Facts.
We out. Love you guys.
Bye. Thanks for listening, guys. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
And don't forget to follow all of our social media platforms linked below. And remember, peace, love, and perspective.